Good morning, everybody. I'm a little bit behind here with getting the reading ready here. And also the angle of this thing is messing up on me. But you have a blessed Sunday. Had some marvelous encounters yesterday with different people. We have a Dutch group staying here as well. Very energetic, very lively, animated, prayerful. I don't know how this camera got so crooked today. But still, you can see the reality that's here. So today we have a change in our plan of readings, a special, like that Sunday also, we had the Feast of All Souls, and today we have the memory, the commemoration. And today we have something very special. It's really, in a certain sense, a synthesis, particularly from the readings point of view, of the entire mystery of salvation. And it really boils down to recognizing God's presence and not ignoring it, because He is here present. And every morning here at the sunrise stroll and chat at the Sea of Galilee, we have the immense privilege of watching the sunrise. And it's like lighting up the temple God created, where He is present. And we walk in His presence, we stroll, we chat, we meet each other in His presence. And we don't ignore His presence. I think that's a big word for today's feast day, to realize that He is present and that we are all created for this temple. This temple is created for all of us. And the biggest gift of this temple isn't the sunrise, and it's not the oxygen, and it's not the water, and it's not the earth. It's actually the divine presence. He is present among us. He is walking with us. He is here. And we need a whole education process to discover this. Can you imagine here 2 days ago? There were 160 pilgrims just gathered right here. Right here. And they didn't mind walking down through the waterlog to get down to the edge of the water. Lots and lots of pilgrims came yesterday as well from many different countries. So He's walking among us, and we need an education to discover this, to realize that there's God, and that He created the universe, and that we are His people, the flock He guides. This is the language of the scriptures, and this is all humanity. The entire human family is created in His image and likeness. This is our great treasure, our great reality. And we're created to be in communion with Him, to be one with Him, to be joyful with Him. Like the family is in unity, celebrating Thanksgiving, celebrating Christmas, celebrating a birthday, celebrating a marriage. The family is together, it's joyful. Maybe there were little things, but we'll get over those, and we celebrate together. And this is a perpetual, eternal celebration. And before this all started, God was there in His majesty, in His reality, in His existence, and He created us in time. And we wake up to being in the presence of God in His temple. But it's an education to get to there, because there's also arid land, rocky ground that's difficult. There are accidents, and there are incidents of meanness and violence and hurt. And we can ruin this temple God gave us where we live. And in the process of education, humanity discovered the value of having a temple, having a place, a building to honor His presence, that He lives among us. And so we have the concept of temple, of the building, the temples of Egypt. Incredible. We had the great blessing to be there on a pilgrimage a couple of times actually, one in the Alexandria area and the pyramids, and then in the Upper Nile area, and then there were other temples, just incredible buildings that surely also influenced the temple in Jerusalem and were influenced surely themselves by earlier ones in Mesopotamia probably. And so we have this great culture of temples, and all the readings today are centering around the idea of temple. And this was triggered by a very important concrete building that became the heart of Western Christian culture, which was St. John Lateran's in Rome. And there's a lot of back history there we won't get into now. But at the end of the day, the whole purpose of all of this is to really get to the core of why we live, why we exist, what God's plan is with us. And we see these marvelous readings from Ezekiel, and the angel brought me back to the entrance of the temple, and the water flowing out, and the water flowing out down the Kidron Valley, down towards the Dead Sea, and the amount of new life it brings in the arid wasteland. An powerful symbol for how the grace of God renews a deserted humanity, a humanity that deserted its own identity, that turned into self-hate and self-destruction. You know, we have these worries. I remember as a child in the 60s, we were all prepared for a nuclear war, and we had these kits in our homes, even in farms. We didn't even have electricity in our house, and we had a kit for nuclear war fallout. That's crazy, you know. And today we also have this mongering of conflict and war, and thanks be to God that there are also many who are ardently opposed to this type of human self-destruction. And there we have a long path of renewal. And so this water coming out from the temple of God, turning the desert into a blossoming orchard of trees, and the Dead Sea into a most fish-filled lake, more than the Mediterranean. It's just an amazing image, a powerful image. The wonderful gift that the Lord has given humanity through the prophet Ezekiel in this chapter. It's chapter 47. I've always been fascinated by it, especially since I came to Jerusalem and realized the geography that it matches the account so perfectly, because Ezekiel is aware of this and he is depicting exactly what's going on with God's grace to redeem humanity. The waters of the river gladdened the city of God, the holy dwelling of the Most High. That was so important. And in recent years, again, the source of water in Jerusalem ancient source of water has been rediscovered. And the pool of Siloam has been excavated again, and the whole area renewed. And in a desert climate where sometimes there can be years with very little rain and major drought, this Psalm 46 is so eloquent. The waters of the river gladden the city of God. Again, it's the life that's given, the gift of life, the gift of renewal. And then we have two very revolutionary texts for cultures that were very centered just on the building. We use today the occasion of the anniversary of the dedication of the building to remember this extraordinary breakthrough in the culture of understanding temple. And Jesus himself says that destroy this temple, in 3 days I will raise it up. And then as this idea sinks into the disciples more and more, what's developing is the awareness that we are all God's temple. And then the big question for us is, how do we treat God's temple that we are? And how do we treat God's temple that my neighbor is, my family, my spouse, my child, my parents? How do we treat this temple? Recognizing the presence of God in a very peculiar way. The presence of God is more powerful in my brother or sister, in my spouse, my child, no matter what their disaster is, than in this sunrise. The presence of God is more powerfully in a little child or an elderly person that's all tubed up and can't even talk, maybe is even unconscious. The presence of God is more in that person than in the entire cosmos, material cosmos, because we're made in the image and likeness of God. This is the great revolution that happens with these readings, especially the two readings, the second two readings here. Do you not know that you are the temple of God and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? And then there's very strong language. I won't read it out. I'll let you read it. What this text says about destroying the temple of God that another person is. I think it's better that you read that line in private and personally. Turn to God and ask Him for grace for the world. Ask Him for conversion for our world, for renewal of our world. And I wish you a wonderful celebration today with these readings of the great temple God has created us to be, and the wonderful material temple in which we live, and the eternal temple where there won't be any temple anymore. We'll be like the book of Revelation says, we'll be in the presence of God, and the whole of humanity united with God will be one amazing temple. People, God bless you. Have a blessed Sunday. Catch on to the presence of God and celebrate it and live, rejoice. God bless you. Take care of your temple, your thoughts, your affections, your passions, your desires, your reactions. God bless you.